Now we're coming to transforming member services with generative AI. And our next speaker is Kelli Windsor, who's Senior Director of Digital Communications at FMI, the Food Industry Association. And she will share her organization is using generative AI to transform member services, along with Ray Stankiewicz, Director of Client Solutions with Matrix Group. Please welcome Kelli and Ray.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining this afternoon's series of sessions. So we're thrilled today to present this collaborative case study where we're going to unpack how FMI, the Food Industry Association, partnered with Matrix Group, a full-service digital agency specializing in associations and nonprofits, on using powerful AI tools to transform member services and offerings. We're fortunate to have FMI as really one of our longest-term clients. We've been working together over nearly 25 years for solving digital challenges. So talking about things like digital transformation, designing and deploying new websites, migrating different content management systems, tons of integration projects, and also taking meetings virtual. So today we're going to dig into the mission and the value proposition of the organization, the expertise of the different teams involved, talk more about the technology solution that was deployed, and then take a peek at what lies ahead.
Yeah, so can you guys hear me? Is this working? So like Ray said, FMI and Matrix Group have worked together for over 25 years. I have not been at FMI for 25 years. I've been there for about 10 years. But that journey has involved a lot of projects with FMI, both redesigning websites and now kind of exploring AI solutions. So FMI, being the Food Industry Association, is a little unique in that we actually have, as a directive of our members, food safety is one of our big concerns. So in 2000, we surveyed our members and they said food safety was one of the biggest things that disrupted their business, which if anyone has experienced a food recall, understands what that's like. So in 2003, FMI actually purchased the Safe Quality Food Institute from the Western Australian Department of Agriculture. And it is actually a food safety certification process that offers a farm to fork food safety solution. So this has been implemented in our organization, and it's actually a major part of our organization. So SQFI generates about $10 million in revenue for SQFI or for FMI, and it's about 17% of our business. And if you go to the next slide, Ray, it's actually a global audience. So when we look to redesign this website last year, it's a very different audience from FMI, which is predominantly domestic retailer, wholesalers, and product suppliers. SQFI has a much global audience. They're serving both small manufacturers and large manufacturers, people that might have very little food safety knowledge and people with a lot of food safety expertise. And they're all global, right? So because it's a farm to fork, your ingredient supplier can be certified using this system, all the way down to your producer, all the way to your packaging, and even your distributor. So because of that, you have a lot of people with a lot of different skill sets, all kind of needing to dissect our codes and our standards and understand our information. So when we look to our website redesign, one of the major issues was around translation. And I'll let Ray dive into that a bit more.
Right, so really with this scale and expertise and very mature offerings available from SQFI in the form of standards and best practices, SQFI naturally generates a lot of interest and demand in what the institution has to say. This applies really to standards and best practices across really all touch points of the food safety ecosystem and has lots of implications far beyond just the farm to fork. So we're talking about cold storage facilities. We're talking about machines that assemble and move thousands of different baked products and cookies across different conveyor belts. We're talking about systems that can tons of beans or place millions of pounds of pickles in jars. All of these use cases are highly specific and they require adherence to a lot of really regimented standards in order to, one, make them scalable on an enterprise worldwide supply chain level, and then two, also make them safe for the world population. So as we look toward a vision of making some of these highly technical standards documents work on a global scale, We agreed that we really needed a system that was going to support a high level of customization and precise translations as we're thinking of the different global markets that we wanted to tap into. So what we learned early on in the process is that a lot of the built-in tools weren't quite accurate, and they were actually quite confusing in a couple different cases and gave people the wrong impression. So for example, some references to a certification body was actually translated or picked up or translated to be a certification corpse. Obviously not the tone that we're actually trying to communicate. We want to make sure that we're really kind of building a lot of trust and confidence for people that are in our audiences that are using these tools and making sure that they're receiving accurate translations. And just one other thing just to consider as far as SQFI's overall communication strategy is that there's not just the website to consider, there's also a highly powerful site search. There's the whole customer service experience and FAQs and inquiry process. There's a whole e-commerce and checkout process that we want to be mindful of. And then there's all the other tools that are really common for any modern marketer, such as email marketing system automation, email campaigns, other considerations there too.
So because of all of these complications, to date, SQFI was using a very manual translation process. So they were developing their codes in English, sending them to a translation company that was using a mix of machine translation and actually human translation, getting that back, actually having business development teams in country also review that content. And as you can imagine, when you have 17 codes and you're trying to translate it into 9 languages, you can't do all of that. That's too timely and too costly. So it was a very patchwork. You could find aquaculture in Japanese, but you couldn't find it in Spanish. You could find manufacturing in almost every language, but that wasn't the case for primary plant production. And so it wasn't a really universal solution for the company, and it made going to scale and market really difficult.
Yeah, and what we really found in our research was the ability to use AI tools that could be trained on proprietary and specific data to make them a lot more accurate. So in this case, we actually worked with SQFI to create a custom, highly robust and custom dictionary that was used in tandem with the AI translations that were available from Amazon Web Services.
So what we developed is a website that is available in 9 languages. The content is produced in English. It is sent off and published and in English first, and then it is sent off to AWS for translation, and it comes back into Sitefinity CMS, and then you have to go and publish that content. We have a dictionary in place so that certification corpses never happens, and that we can maintain that accuracy. We've found that most of this dictionary has caused very few problems in the translation. The few that have come up, which was like third party, second party, and third party, came out Fiesta. You know, we were able to go fix that manually, and we haven't really had to do another translation of the site, except for a few things that are kind of lingering there that really aren't major issues. We've been able to address them ourselves.
Yep, and there was a big upfront sort of time investment to make all the different versions of the current site translated across different languages. But as we have new versions of the codes and standards coming online, it'll be a lot more iterative, and there's not going to be that upfront, level of time involved.
And this system has been so successful that we're actually in the process of developing our edition 10 codes. And our plan is that we will leave PDFs behind, and we will instead have the website translate all of the codes moving forward, and users will actually be able to build the code that works best for their business. They'll of course be able to create a PDF of that, but they'll also be able to get that in any language. So this will save the organization thousands of man hours and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the long run. So then we wanted to see what else we could do with AI, and generative AI is the hot topic of the year. So we decided to go into a couple of pilot projects with Matrix Group around generative AI for both SQFI and FMI.
Yep. And so beyond the translation services that are available from AWS, there's other AI offerings that can be further customized and trained on proprietary data. So as Kelly mentioned, we're in the midst of a pilot project with FMI to think about some of the other crucial data sources that they have access to that really do make up their expertise and other offerings from the membership. So we're thinking about different aspects of the organization, but the research that it produces, all the technical stakeholders and expertise about things like food safety, about retail intelligence, about in-store systems, all the different resources that we can really tap into, and then apply some of these AI tools to make some other realizations and really kind of help us experiment with other things that we can actually ask and help us glean insights from those other data sources as well. So in this case, we're experimenting with tools that are going to allow us to really kind of corral some of this information, and then using other systems like large language models to ask it questions and really kind of serve as a research assistant.
Yeah, so here, and this has literally been tested like last week, we were using the Claude tool and found it to be pretty good at summarizing the research. Some of our research, we produce over 40 research reports a year at FMI, but it was not giving the most recent years. It was great that I got a summary of 2018 data, but that wasn't what I was looking for. We actually tried a different source with OpenAI and found that one to be a lot more in depth, better, not just summaries, but like longer summaries that were more detailed oriented. And so that has a lot of potential for us moving forward for this particular pilot. So then for SQFI, they were literally looking at two big problems. One is customer service. Again, we are serving small manufacturers and large manufacturers that have lots of different questions. The certification process is a process. It's not something you snap your fingers and is done. So they were getting a lot of questions about their codes and their standards, but they were also getting a lot of customer service questions. So again, we tried I think it was the Claude tool first. Claude didn't do its homework very well. It wasn't answering questions that were right there on the website very well. So we have to tweak Claude a little bit, but then we use that OpenAI tool for kind of a standards, kind of diving deeper into that. That one actually has been working really well. We asked it things like, can you have a power cord running through your facility? The answer is no, you cannot do that. And it gave a very thorough answer using the standards and the codes. SQF is also unique in that they give the codes away for free. A lot of food safety certifications, that is not the case. So a tool like this can really help people dive deeper into each of the code, which is 90 to 100 pages, depending on your topic, and really help summarize some of these things and make it a little bit more palatable for people.
Yeah, and I think there's been a lot of conversations today about ways to make AI tools really helpful for external audiences. In our case, we were actually able to pilot things just with an internal audience of FMI staff, just saying, hey, we've got all the access to all the super admin capabilities behind the scenes. How can we use some other chat tools to just make the lives of our staff that much easier and just be even more valuable for the members?
So some of our lessons learned, I would say that when we went into the redesign of the website with this kind of translation problem, it was very interesting that people just weren't having conversations. The marketing team thought that we were doing the manual translation because that's what the compliance team wanted. The compliance team thought it was the business development team. And when we sat down and had these hard conversations, we learned that like nobody really liked the process and everyone was really angry about it. So I would urge people to have those hard conversations. You might learn that everyone's unhappy and open to something different. We also really wanted to keep in mind our goals of the process. We brought those up at every meeting to keep us all grounded. We spent a lot of time, I think the theme of the project was we figured out how to do it in English, and then we'd ask ourselves how we would do it in Spanish and kind of have to go back to the drawing board. So a partner like Matrix that would come to the table with solutions and be thoughtful, be mindful of time and budget, and really come to the table with, good ideas was really critical. And then as far as our pilot projects with Gen AI, I'd say, have an RD mindset. Really, yes, go into it with maybe some problems you're looking to solve, but be open to the unknown and what you might find that you didn't think you would find. I think we've learned that some of these tools are really good for some problems, but not so much for others. That might change over time. And I think we have to be willing to kind of fail fast and move forward.
Yeah, and I think it's been really kind of a recurring theme that we've heard today that, there are all these tools that are available out there and it's important to experiment, but it is really important to set yourself up with good things like policies, sandboxes, testing environments, other safe spaces where it's, you're able to conduct those experiments and not, skew results, not put out too much proprietary information, but really kind of keep that R&D mentality guided along with some guardrails. So in this case, I thought it was also really helpful to acknowledge that, there's a lot of powerful AI tools out there, but they also do need a fair amount of human checkpoints, a lot of customization, and a lot of validation to make sure that they've been customized and are actually working effectively. So I mean, I think that was really part of the some of the main takeaways to wrap it up. If you're interested in sharing a little bit more about how your organization is using AI to really help your organization thrive, please feel free. I have a table right outside. Happy to talk more about some of these tool sets that we've used. And then we also have our Associations Thrive podcast where we interview association leadership really from around the country, around the world about how they're using different tools, how they're using different technology solutions to thrive, and how they're navigating the landscape and what lies ahead.
Any questions? Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Kelly. Thank you, Ray.